I sent it to you yesterday. I don't know if you received it. I sent it to your email. Is your email? I sent it yesterday at 12.
That's probably, like, if it was, yeah, I was asleep.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine. I just haven't, like, the last time I did this was last night, so that's fine. Now that you sent it, I just haven't opened it yet because you sent it last night. That's fine.
Okay.
It's fine. If I don't see it.
It's like this, right? I see how this, right? I just have to.
Yeah. No, that's right. I just haven't, like, the last time I did the list was at, like, 11:30 last night.
I sent it to.
That's okay. That's okay.
Thank you.
Okay. So, close that. Keep this open. That's good. Okay, so I uploaded a bunch of new content. Folks, can you hear me? Like, can you hear me more than yourselves? Thanks. Okay, so I uploaded a bunch of new content for you. You've got a whole bunch of stuff here, case analysis materials, and then so that's what we're going to be working on today, and then Globus materials for Thursday. Okay. And then starting next week, I'll keep uploading more lecture slides. They're pretty much finished, but I did a lot of combining of topics that my colleagues cover with topics that I cover, and I made some notes to myself about differences between the two, and I want to make sure to take out the notes and make the final copy for you guys before I upload it. So they're all there. I just haven't uploaded them yet because I wanted to make a few last edits, but those will be up as of next week for the lectures. Okay, so case analysis. Basically, in a lot of ways, this is like a paint by numbers exercise. Like, I've got a template that I want each of the groups to use to fill this out. Now, please, there's certainly room for creative polish and like your own work within this format. But I'd like you to use the template format that I'm about to show you. Okay, so it's kind of fill in the blanks in a way, but there's a lot of like legwork that you need to do to fill it out properly. So that document, the template you're going to use is this first one right here, case analysis template with info sources. So I'm going to open that up right now and go through everything for you. Okay, so this is the template you're going to use. Can you guys see that okay? Yes? Okay, so I'm going to go from top to bottom here. You can see here it says 18 here. It actually should be 25, so I'm interested to see where the page breaks don't work in this version. But anyway, you're not going to necessarily fill it out in order. In particular, the very first page here, the very first page will end up becoming 2 pages. But I want you to fill this out last. This is the summary. This is your final take on the most important issues facing the company. So you're going to have a summary section, an overall strategy analysis section, external analysis, internal, customer and competition, management, and financial. Okay? And you'll see as we go on, each of the pages that follow are correspond to one of these 6 sections. Okay? So I've written in red on each page like the instructions for what I want you to do. Okay? So for this page here, there's going to be a lot of I feel very strongly about using the great library database resources that we have access to here in this class. There's amazing data and information out there from people whose job it is to sit around all day on Wall Street and generate reports that are dozens of pages long with really cool like graphs and stuff on a lot of the stuff we're analyzing in this class. So, plagiarism is an important thing, but this is 2016, and we live in an information society. What's important is that you know how to find information and that you know when to cite something and when to speak in your own voice. So a lot of this is going to be going and finding, copying, pasting, and then footnoting properly information from various databases. But some of it's going to be in your own words, and the summary section here is in your own words. So basically, I want you to write a paragraph about what you think is the most important issue facing the company. Okay? It's going to be 4 sentences. You're going to state what is it, why is it so important, give an example of how it's impacting the company, and give a brief suggestion of what the company should do about it in the future. So, for Brown Armstrong, it could be the most important issue they're facing is changes in tax regulations in the future. Could be, developing new small business markets. Could be that they have a talent and recruiting shortage, although I don't think that's the problem because I've always got students in every one of my classes that are like going to be working for Brown Armstrong or Barbara Cooper King or one of the other firms in town. But whatever you think the most important issue facing the company is, that goes in the summary section, okay? And then similarly, if you notice as we scroll down a bit, overall strategy analysis has got like vision, mission, objectives, handbook strategy, business model, corporate level strategy, international strategy. You're going to pick out of all, you're going to fill out all those charts basically. And once you've filled them all out, you're going to pick of all of the big picture overall strategy issues, what is the one that I think is the most important? Or what is the one we as a group think is the most important? And what should the company do about it? So you're going to have one overall strategy paragraph about the whole case, what's the most important thing the company's facing, and then in each of these sections, overall strategy, external environment, internal environment, customers and competition, management, and that's implementation, culture, leadership, things like that, and then financial analysis. In each of those areas, you're going to fill out a number of different tables, charts, and then you're going to pick which is the most important issue in this area and summarize it the same way you did the overall issue. That makes sense to everybody? And I just want you to, as a group, as soon as we decide on the groups, you can go ahead and download this thing, and it's now August 30th. This is due December 9th. We're going to be talking about each of the different tools in each of the lectures coming up. So feel free as a team to divide labor and start filling this thing out on the fly. Well, I'll have a draft due. I'll have a draft due, I think, sort of beginning of November, a little bit before Thanksgiving, so that I can look over all of the group papers and give you tips like, okay, this is good. I want you to change this, change this, change this. So A, you get a good grade, and B, to me more importantly, you leave this class with a product that you can post on your LinkedIn and you can show people and you can be proud that it's a nice professional piece of work. So I encourage you as a team to start filling this thing out on the fly as we're going through the various topics, okay? So moving forward, vision, mission, objectives. We talked about this in my lecture last week. I want you to go out to either ProQuest, and we'll talk. How many people in here are familiar with using ProQuest? That. I'm going to be teaching in the spring. I've only been here for 2 years. This is my 3rd year teaching at Cal State now. And up until now, I've just taught the senior capstone, and I teach the small business and the entrepreneurship class. So I tend to have all seniors. If it were up to me, everybody in their first freshman class in the College of Business would learn about our library databases. They're amazing databases, and you have access to them for free for your tuition. And there's so little that we use them. it's a little late, but you're gonna learn them now. And next quarter, I'm actually teaching 1008 or 1009, whatever it is, the intro to the freshman experience thing for College of Business. And finally, I will be teaching about this a lot sooner. But either ProQuest, Edgar, or Google, and depending on what you're able to find there, I encourage you to also reach out to people at the target company and have them fill in the blanks for anything you couldn't find. But I want to see a mix of what your sources are. So I'd like to see some of it come from ProQuest, some of it come from Edgar, some of it come from Google, and some of it come from conversations you've had with people that work at the company. Does that make sense? So yes.
Did you say Edward?
No, Edgar. It's here in the red.
Oh.
Edgar is, I'll show you guys later. Edgar is, how many people are familiar with Edgar? Okay, more. What is your name in the kind of maroon shirt?
Armando.
Huh? Armando?
Yeah.
What's Edgar for the benefit of everybody else?
It's like peer reviews, so you can look up. Like I did it for my English classes, to look for research, articles.
I think we're thinking of two different Edgars.
Oh no, Edgar is.
Yeah, ProQuest is. Yeah, ProQuest. I would agree with that.
That's a different one too.
Yeah, but Edgar.
Edgar is. Which one's that one?
Right here.
Where you find the financial statements, right?
Exactly. Edgar is the repository, the official repository for the Securities and Exchange Commission, where every public company that's registered in the United States has to file their official report documents. So all the official documents on financials, annual reports, so the company's official statement of their vision and their mission, sometimes they list objectives. Sometimes you're not going to find the details of objectives as much. You may have to actually talk to somebody at the company for that. But Edgar is where you can find the financial statements. You can also find this stuff in ProQuest or on Google. Edgar is sometimes a little bit thick to navigate through because it's in official SEC.
Yeah.
SEC, right? Securities and
No, SEC.
huh? Yeah, SEC, Securities and Exchange Commission, right?
That's what I know it as.
That's the same as Southeast Conference. I never realized that the SEC is both an athletic conference and the governing body for. Yeah, I was thinking for a second I was saying it wrong, but no, it's the same acronym for both. Anyway, I want you to go out, find the company's vision statement, find their mission statement, find me a couple of current objectives based on what we talked about. So we're talking about concrete objectives that are SMART, like we talked about in the lecture. Vision and mission. So vision should be elegant, big picture. Mission should be more concrete, but not going into details. And then objectives, just like we talked about in the lecture. I want you to fill out this chart. I don't want it to be any bigger than a page. So right now it's about a third or a fourth of a page. You're only going to put a couple sentences in each of those boxes. Otherwise, it's going to go over a page. One of the most important things about business communication and professional report writing is that it looks pretty and it fits nicely and visually on pages without inconvenient page breaks. So part of your work in this class is not just finding the correct information, but making it look nice. So I want this chart filled out, and I want it to fit on one page. And as soon as you're done, you can use the extra space for the instructions by deleting the instructions. The instructions are there in red just to tell you what I want you to do. Yes?
So this is the template for our whole paper.
Yep.
And when we fill in that box, that's all we need to fill up?
For that page, yes.
And does the whole page need to be?
No.
Okay.
No. I mean, if you have 2 words, it's a vision statement. Most company vision statements are a sentence long.
Right.
The objectives is going to be probably a sentence with a couple bullet points for deliverable criteria, by this deadline and this dollar amount.
Right.
But each of those is probably going to be a sentence.
It's just a little bit different format than what I'm used to, because you can make a page with a lot of fluff and nice words. And
I know, but I'll know.
Okay. I just
I'll
wanted to
know.
make sure.
There's believe me, I've been using this template format for a long time. And one of the reasons that I want to draft to me before Thanksgiving already is so I can go through and like ruthlessly cut fluff and tell you, okay, nice try, that's not what I want.
So no fluff.
Yeah, no, I don't want fluff. I want exactly what I asked for. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Now, if you tell me, vision is be the best. Now, come on, like, if Barbara Trooper King really has, for example, if their vision statement is really be the best, first of all, they need a better vision statement. But I doubt that that's really what it is. You know what I mean? But if that is what it is, then I would ask you to like add a sentence. This is actually a pretty short vision statement. We would suggest this. Make sense?
Yes.
But it depends on what I ask for. Some of the pages you're going to need the whole page. Others not.
Okay.
Okay? Make sense? Okay, cool. Does that make sense to everybody so far? Okay, so I'm gonna run through this whole document and explain to you big picture what I want, and this is basically what you're going to be doing for the rest of the semester. We're going to go over each of the tools in the lectures each week. There's a couple of things. And then at the very end of that, I'll tell you a little bit about how to use the databases and a little bit of a refresher on financial analysis. You had that in your accounting classes. I've got some refresher stuff on financial analysis that otherwise is not in our textbook. And once we're done with the 10 lectures, we've got time for discussion and so forth, where I'll kind of fill in some more information on financial analysis and some of the other stuff that you're going to need to do. Okay, but we'll go over everything big picture right now, and then we'll be filling this thing out each week along the way. Make sense? Okay, so that's that one. Next, you'll recognize as well from the lecture last week the handbrake strategy with arena, differentiators, vehicles, staging, and economic logic. Remember me talking about that?
Yep.
Yes? Okay. So I want you to tell me for that company, what arena are they active in, or arenas? So if I switch for a second and I talk about wonderful, wonderful is more than anything involved with pomegranates and a couple other types of citrus, right?
Pistachios.
So pistachios as well. Huh? So I want to know these are the, so you got Fiji water, you got pistachios, you got but I want you to look. What are the actual division structures of Wonderful? Are there other areas that Wonderful's involved in that you might not have known about? And tell me in a couple of sentences what are the arenas that they're active in? What are their major differentiators? So certainly, off the top of my head, I imagine their contracts that they have with their network of suppliers that all basically are smaller farm owners that feed pistachios into the Wonderful machine is probably one of the things that differentiates them. But I want you to tell me, what is it that differentiates them and makes them better than anybody else that sells pistachios in that segment? Same thing for vehicles. Are they doing it with their own company? Do they have a partnership with another company, etc.? Staging. What are the next steps for Wonderful in their strategy? And then how does the economic logic work? Okay. Obviously, you've got one page. And again, I want you to have a mix of going out to find this stuff in ProQuest, find it in Edgar, find it in Google, and talk with people from the company and fill in the rest. And I want to have a balance of those in the footnotes. Okay? So, you've only got one page. A company as big as Wonderful is involved in a lot of different arenas. Each of those arenas have different differentiators. Each of those differentiators may have a different vehicle that they use to achieve it with. That's not all going to fit in one page. So I want you to give me, maybe an overview of all the arenas and then an example of one specific arena for the differentiator vehicle, etc. Part of your job is to present the most amount of information possible. So here, you're going to need every bit of that one page. And you're going to have to give me an overview without dumping everything. Because if you dumped everything for Wonderful to answer all those questions for every arena they're involved in, take 10 pages by itself. So you're going to have to figure out how to do that in one in a way that is representative. Make sense? Okay. So that stuff we've already gone over in the lectures. Business model. This is going to be in your own words. It's not going to be any particular like database you use. I talked about this in the lecture last week as well. This is kind of, if the handbrick model, if your vision, mission, and goals and your handbrick model strategy is something you go back and look at once a week, once a month to make sure you're on track, the business model should be something that everybody can recite off the top of your head as like your cheat sheet for how your business works. So, wonderful. Let me go to another example. If I use any bank in the world, basically, there's a safe place to keep my money, and I have a place to get more of it when I need it. That's basically what a bank is for me as a customer. And I want to hear from the customer's perspective, what is that value proposition? Very simple statement, but from the customer's point of view. I know the bank has lots of statements about what makes them the best global bank, but at the end of the day, like most customers, whether it's a business or a person or an individual, you use a bank because you want someplace to safe to keep all your money so it doesn't get lost or stolen. And when you need to borrow capital, you get it from a bank. Banks protect money and they provide money. That's it. Profit model. You've got a bunch of tiny revenue streams coming in a bank that interest each month, fees on accounts. You've got a whole bunch of relatively small income streams that are coming in all the time. Your like variable cost is basically the cost of capital. So as a bank, you have to pay interest on money too. Usually, you've got various savings accounts, IRAs, investments where people bring that money in. You maybe pay them 2%, 3% on that. Like, the rate of return is crappy on a savings account these days or an IRA, but you pay them maybe 2-3% interest, and you use their money. You give it to like a small business, and the small business pays you 5% or 10% interest on that loan. So your revenue is the 10% coming in. Your variable cost is the 2 or 5% pay going out that you have to pay for the people that gave you the money in the first place. And then your fixed costs are things like your marketing, your IT systems, the utilities, and all the electricity and so forth for the IT systems, your deposit insurance, stuff like that. Okay, and resources needed is basically a list of all of those costs that I just listed for you, but described as resources. So any bank, if you're going to be successful, has to have access to cheap capital. If you don't have access to cheap capital, like, you ain't got no bank, period. And beyond that, you need really high quality IT systems. You need competent and like savvy marketing staff. Bless you. You need attractive and well-located facilities, although increasingly with the age of the internet, like, branches are less important than they used to be. But you can list off what most of the main criteria are for what a bank needs. And that, in my opinion, you should be able to recite off the top of your head in whatever business you're in. Our customers need us because they need a safe place to put their valuable stuff, and they need more money so they can use it for businesses and boats and houses and stuff like that. That's what our customers need us for. And the way we bring in revenues is we get paid each month a bunch of interest for all these different kinds of products, and our variable cost is basically that we have to pay out a bunch of interest on all the capital we get, and our overhead is basically these 5 things. Facilities, marketing, IT systems, deposit insurance, and depreciation on assets. Bang. There's probably 5 or 10 other ones too, but the most important ones are the 5 I just listed. That is what I want in this box. Should fit easily on one page. Make sense?
Got it.
Okay. Moving on. Corporate level strategy. I'm going to go through some of these a little faster because we haven't covered those in the lectures yet. The 3 that I just talked about, we covered in last week's lecture. So, corporate level strategy is about what kind of different business areas you're in. You know, a company like Disney, they're in films, they're in, but they're also in amusement parks and so forth and so on. Those are all different business segments. And we're going to talk in the lectures about whether it's vertically or horizontally integrated, whether the company is sort of a growing, cash-generating division or whether it's kind of a mature division that's starting to decline. We'll go over all that in the lecture, and I want you to fill out this chart accordingly. Again, you're going to use resources like ProQuest, Edgar, Google, supplemented by conversations with the company. Okay? We'll talk about this concept in the lecture next week. Moving on. International strategy. Same thing. You're going to fill this out. I've written in each box here. So I want a sentence about how the company tailors production or sales and marketing in different markets. So you can actually go out, do a search in ProQuest on, wonderful and Florida, and you could probably find out something about how they do sales in Florida, or whether they're actually shipping everything from here to Florida. If there's any pistachios that are grown someplace other than California, you can basically copy and paste that information from ProQuest and cite where you got it. That's what I want here. Same thing for what are non-headquarters locations doing that's innovative. I've described for you what I want in each of these boxes, and we'll go over this in the lecture. Okay? Next, external analysis. So we're going to talk about driving forces in the lecture. Actually, next week's lecture is going to be on this. 2 weeks from now is going to be that stuff that was in corporate strategies. Not necessarily the way that the template is put together is not necessarily the way that the chronology of the class goes. So driving forces, we'll talk about that in class. You're going to basically go to a certain report and copy and paste for this. Instructions are there. Porter's 5 forces, same thing, copy and paste exercise. Footnotes, very important. Like copying and pasting is not hard to do. Citing it properly is not hard to do, but important. Otherwise, that's plagiarism. But I don't want you to reinvent the wheel. I want you to go and use this very specific report that I want you to go find and then cite it properly. Key success factors. This is basically in your own words as well. We'll talk about it in the lecture. Basically, those major costs that I listed off in the business model that you should be able to say off the top of your head are exactly the key success factors for most companies in the industry they're in. Like the key success factor for most companies in their industry is being really good at the main major costs that you have in your business. So that you're going to fill that out, and basically you're going to some of these. So if we talk about a bank again, marketing may be less. Marketing, in my opinion, as important as it is less important than cheap capital. Like by far and away, if you don't have access to cheap capital, like you're dead in the water as a bank. You could have okay marketing, but really good cheap access to capital, and people will find you because people need money. But so you're not going to weight those the same. If we put cheap capital here, this might be 40%, and marketing might only be 20%, and then IT systems, facilities, and deposit insurance might be, 40, 50, 60, 70, maybe 15, 10, right? Something like that. They're going to add up to 100%. And you're going to give just a one sentence here about why cost of capital is so important, and a sentence about why, like, deposit insurance is only 5%, why it's not that important. Okay? Just a sentence. Make sense? Okay. Internal analysis. We're going to have another lecture where we talk about the resource-based view of the firm and trying to choose resources for your company that are valuable, rare, hard to imitate, and that your company is well organized to leverage. You're going to make a list of some of the main resources in the company, and you're just going to put yes, no in these categories. Okay? Competitive strength assessment, your basic, this is going to be in your own words again. You're going to take those same factors that you used initially for the key success factors. You're going to put them here. You're going to put the same weights here, so just copy and paste from the other one. And then you're going to take the company you're looking at, like Wonderful, and you're going to compare them actually to one of their main competitors, like Bolthouse or Blue Diamond, whoever you want to compare them to. You're going to compare them to another company, and you're going to say, so if Wonderful, if the main thing for Wonderful is like access to good land and cheap water, basically. Let's say maybe Wonderful has the best land in the entire pistachio business. Their competitor has good land, but not quite as great. So maybe you're going to give Wonderful a 10 and the competitor an 8. And then you're going to give a little comment here about why Wonderful gets a 10 and the other one gets an 8. Okay? Same thing for each of the factor areas. And you're just basically going to take the weight, so 40% times 10, that would be 4. Okay? So if every company got a 10 in every area, this would add up to 10. So the overall strength rating is just adding up the columns here, and the lowest score would be 0, the highest is 10. So that's what you're going to do there. SWOT and TOES analysis, I'm sure, is there anybody in here that's not familiar with a SWOT or a TOES analysis? It's a very useful tool, even though it's not something you haven't been exposed to before, and I want you to fill this out in your own words, again, with the red instructions there for how to fill it out. And this may seem like a lot, but that's why you have a 5-person group, is to divide labor, and we're filling this out every week over the course of the whole semester. So customer analysis, again, searches, and I want to know a bit about the profile of a target customer in the main segments. So if we go back to banking again as an example, you're going to basically have, if I choose just 3 segments, there's more than 3, but we can choose auto loans, home loans, and small business loans. Those are 3 major segments that almost any bank has. So you're going to tell me what does the average business look like that is getting a business loan, and fill out these boxes for that. What does the average customer look like that's getting a home loan from that bank, etc. Market sizing, I will do a special little lecture section on this. Once you've decided what the ideal customer is, there's a specific exercise you go through to go out to the Census Bureau's websites and count how many other. If the average person that gets a home loan from Bank of America, for example, or Chase, the average person that gets a home loan from Chase is, a family with 2 kids, approximately like 5 years of age or less, with a average household income of $100,000 a year. If that's what the target customer looks like, you can go out and count how many families there are like that in California, and then estimate how much of a market size that is for Chase potentially. That's the exercise you're going to do there. Generic competitive strategy. We'll talk about this in the lectures. Basically, almost any company in the world either competes on cost or on differentiation. So either you have the best resources, the best, most money, the most power, and you can compete on cost like Walmart does. I mean, Walmart has the largest amount of shelf space of anybody, and they leverage all their suppliers, they leverage their staff, they leverage everybody to squeeze every last nickel out of the turnip, But a smaller regional. There's a company called Meijer, which you guys don't know here, but is a competitor to Walmart just in the Great Lakes states back in the Midwest where I'm from. They can't compete on cost. Walmart will kill them every time. They have to do something better than Walmart. Target actually doesn't. Target, if they just competed on price, it'd be a long war, but Target would eventually lose. So in general, Target's a little bit nicer place. It's a little bit more stylish, and Walmart's a little bit more low class. That's how they each compete. So Target is really competing on differentiation a bit more, and Walmart's competing on cost. But every company in whatever industry it is either going to be low cost or differentiation. So you're going to pick one of those two words and tell me how the company competes in each of those three segments that you just decided above about the customers, and then give me a sentence or two explaining why you chose that. Competitive attack defense posture, this is also in your own words, and these numbers 1, 2, 3, 4 and attack defend, those will all make sense after I go through the lecture in class. So once I've done the lecture, you're going to fill this out for your target company. You're going to put together a market positioning map, which basically shows your company and some of its major competitors on axes that differentiate them in some way. We'll talk about that in class as well. Managerial execution, you're going to fill out this little table here. This is basically a copy and paste exercise looking for news reports in ProQuest. You can supplement it with interviews with the company telling me how does the company recruit, retain, and empower staff, for example. How does senior managers and executives inspire staff and solve specific problems? I want an example. You're going to copy and paste a couple sentences, cite where you got it from. Or if you can't find a good citation, you're going to just talk to somebody from the company and find out, what's a good example of what middle managers or vice presidents do in your company to actually inspire people. And then cite whoever it was that you interviewed to get the information. Corporate governance, you're going to go and basically find out who the people on the board are, and that's going to be a little different depending on which company, Barbara Cooper King and companies like that. Basically, any CPA firm is a partnership. It's not a publicly traded company, so the partners are actually the board. And Wonderful, I believe Wonderful is now public, isn't it? Is it not? Might not be. Bolthouse, for example, is part of Campbell's Soup now. Most of them, Chase is a public bank. You can go into their Edgar reports and you can find out who's on their board of directors. I want to know how many are there, how many of them actually work for Chase as well, because sometimes you're going to have usually an employee union rep on the board. You're going to have one of the people from the senior management team on the board, and you're going to have people from outside the company on the board. How many years have they been in the industry? How old are they? How many female versus male members are there? How many people of color are there? How many people went to an elite university? You're going to fill this out. You can find out the information on each board member. What is their background and their demographics? Some of you are just going to fill out this table for the board members, and there probably won't be more than 10 on most boards. And then corporate responsibility, you're going to fill these out. Tell me about some lawsuits. This is, again, a copy-paste exercise from news reports. Lawsuits, what are some of the charities the company gives to, and what is the company doing to deal with its impact on the society or on the natural environment? Financial analysis, this is the last section. Seems kind of long, but we're getting to the end. Financial analysis, you're basically going to calculate some financial ratios. I will show you how to do that here in a second, and after all the lectures, I'll do another lecture just on financial analysis to remind those of you who have forgotten your accounting classes what I want you to do here. So you're going to fill these out, comparing your company with another one on a couple of key financial ratios, and then looking at the income statement and the balance sheet of your target company. Questions? Does this seem like a lot? Or not? How many people think this seems unreasonable? Unreasonable. How many people think it seems reasonable?
I don't think
You're not, even if you think it's unreasonable, you're not going to raise your hand in front of me when I ask. Anyway, it's fill in the blanks. I've done this before with other classes. It works out. Actually, I had people do individual ones like this that were only a little bit shorter, and it always worked out. So now that we're doing it as groups, I think you'll find that it's a relatively doable project. And like I said, we'll have a draft due about a month before the end of the semester, so I can go in, make markups, and tell you what I like and what I want you to change. Okay? Quickly, and then we can talk. I can actually kind of cut things short and let you guys deal with groups for the rest of the time. Briefly, let me show you some resources that I have here, and we'll talk about them again more in future class sessions. Hello? Okay, good. It's still recording. Okay, so that was the case analysis template, the first document here in Blackboard. You've also got WSL library databases. That's a PowerPoint that describes the main databases that I want you to use from our WSL Walter Steern library, our library here on campus. There's a brief one on financial analysis that shows you how to calculate the different ratios. And then everything else here, 2E guide to case analysis, ProQuest footnotes, in these 2 Word documents, those are all additional instructions that have to do with either how to footnote the database information or how to do the calculations for financial ratios. So let me open up these 2 PowerPoints quick, and then that'll be it for my lecture for today. So the databases, since a lot of you aren't familiar with them, I've got this PowerPoint here on the library databases. They're pretty easy to navigate. Okay, so I've put a link here for all of you and a description for exactly what each database is used for. So if you can't remember, open up your template and it says use. It'll always say use this database. So ProQuest or Edgar or First Research, Business Source Premier. Just open up this document. Click on the appropriate link, and it'll take you where you need to go. So First Research, you're going to use for your driving forces information. You're actually going to use that for industry average financial information as well. Business Source Premier is where you're going to get the information for Porter's 5 forces. ProQuest is basically a giant repository of all news reports, credit reports, magazine articles, everything that was printed and published in some way, whether it was an official report or a magazine article or a newspaper article or something, everything is cross-referenceable in ProQuest. It's a great way to go find information that's published about companies. And then this last page here are some search tips that actually are valid in any of the databases that you use. They're Boolean search operators. And these links are great tips on how to do a lot more efficient Google search. I mean, anybody can go to Google and type in, Chase Bank Vision, but if you're going to get 2 million results for that. So if you take out, so you could for example type in Chase Bank first of all in quotes, and that's going to take otherwise you're going to get everything that somewhere has the word bank in it. If you don't put Chase Bank as a phrase in quotes, you just put Chase and then space bank space what did I say? Vision. Then you're going to get every document on the internet that has the word Chase in it, every document that has the word bank, and every document that has the word vision. That's a lot of documents. What you really want are ones that say Chase Bank. You might even choose JP Morgan Chase. That makes it even more specific. You could actually put vision statement in quotes. You could actually put a minus sign and the name. You could put minus sign and optometrist, because you're going to get a bunch of pages that actually have like vision exam. It has nothing to do with Chase Bank. But if you put the little minus sign and optometry, that'll take every result that has the word optometry in it anywhere, and it won't put it in your results. These are some great tips for how to be more efficient with your searches. And same thing for, you can do the same stuff in ProQuest that you would use in Google for these searches. So that's there. I'm going to walk you guys through how to use these databases, but not today because it's already 2:06. But when we go through each of the topics in the lectures, I'll open up the database and walk you through a little bit how to do your searches, okay? That's that. So next one, last one for the day, financial analysis. Click OK. I wonder why it is sometimes so slow but otherwise not on this particular machine and the one in my other classroom too. I do not know. Anyway, there's 4 main types of financial ratios that I want you to calculate in the financial analysis section. I've described them here with sort of layman's terms as to why they're important. Profitability measures tell you a lot about a company's business model. It tells you about fixed costs versus variable costs. Liquidity tells you a lot about a company's ability to pay its bills. Like, you'd be surprised. You'd be surprised how close to not able to pay its bills Walmart is, for example. And you'd be surprised how much money Google has sitting around that they don't know what to do with. Google is flush with cash, too much so. Like, you don't want to be sitting around with cash. You want to use that cash, invest it in things. Otherwise, you're just wasting cash. And Google has about 4 times as much cash as they have bills. Walmart has just about as much cash as they have bills. Target, not just Walmart, any business in the like mass retail sector has almost the exact amount of liabilities and assets. Leverage tells you a lot about a company's hard value. Like, sometimes you can have a company that actually, you can have a company that's worth a whole lot on paper or has like tens of thousands of employees, but actually they have a lot of debt. You know, they basically had they're highly leveraged, so the actual value of the company, the shareholder value, is very small compared to how big the company is. And you'd never know it until you look at the financial statements and realize, wow, okay, well, you know, they have this money because the core business generates good, stable money and it pays the interest on the loans, but actually, you know, it's like the Wizard of Oz. Like, the company is gigantic, but there's actually this guy behind the curtain that's working the levers, and it's not nearly as big as you'd think. And then finally, activity measures tells you a lot about when cash goes out and when it comes in a company. There's a list that I've given you. It's one of the other documents with the formulas for how to calculate these ratios. And then here's where you find the information. Edgar has all the information you need. Morningstar is actually a lot easier to navigate visually than Edgar. Edgar's a little bit laborious. First Research is where you're going to get industry average information. And then I'm going to try and have everybody focus on a publicly traded company. But many of you, as you go forward, are going to, like, some of the local accounting firms are actually not publicly traded, but they're big enough that you can find information on them easily. But some of you in your work in the future are going to actually want to know information about competitors that are very small and privately owned. And to get that information, you can actually get a fair amount of information on small competitors, but you have to look in a different place. You basically have to go to ProQuest and basically pull did you know that you can pull pretty much anybody's Experian credit report. Like any company. Like individuals, it's a little bit tougher, but you can find information about individuals like on public Experian information too. But you can go out and look at the company's credit report from Experian, and it's not going to tell you everything, but it will tell you what their revenues are, how many employees they have, and whether, and basically what their credit rating is. I mean, it'll tell you like, you know, very good, good, medium, poor. It's amazing. You can find out more than you think about small private competitors. So that's and again, if you click on any of these links, it'll take you right where you need to go. If you are not on campus, you will first get sent to a page that says you need to log in to the library server, and then it'll take you to the right page. If you're on campus, you should go straight to the appropriate database if you just click on these links. Okay. We'll go through those things again as we do each lecture going forward. Thursday, we're going to talk about the simulation, everything you need to know about Globus, how to sign up, what you need to do next. So with the couple minutes that are left, I can read off to you guys, if you want, like who I have in my own mind, like that was interested in each of these areas. I think I mentioned to you, like, I think what might be easier is if I write these down again, and then you know in your own mind what your career interest is. Like, find fellow people who are in these groups. That way I don't have to list everybody's names, okay? So let me list this quick. We got banking, okay? 2, 3, corporate finance, okay? Financial services, so this is investing and so forth. This is going to be CPA.
Either one of the top
8 and 9. Marketing, general management, HR, logistics, and then 10, 11. Oh. 10 and 11 are basically sports, broadly stated, and then 12, real estate. Okay, so I got my sign-up sheet. We're done for the day. Everyone in here, I need to make 12 groups of 4 to 5 students each in these categories. Okay? So, those of you who know your fellow students that are in these areas, go ahead and form groups yourselves. If you don't know a group, email me with which of these is your preference. I already kind of know because you sent me your like, I already know from your like professional development plan. A couple of you had interest in a couple different areas. So if you don't email me with a preference, I will assign you to a group based on what you said your interest was, okay? Okay. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. Just tell me. Email me with names.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
That's it.
the, like, CTA?
Yeah. Exactly.
No problem. Do like you need each group to take only one?
Yes.
Okay. How do you know? Like, send you email. We catch this one. We need this one. We need like.
So you can do one of two things. You can either you're the one you sent me, but I haven't read it yet. Okay. So
Okay. You choose my group or I choose my group.
you can choose your group. If not, I'll choose it for you.
Okay.
But if you can email me and say, hey, these 5 people I'm working with, and we want to work on banking, or we want to work on financial services. Just tell me the names of.
Don't like another group. They work on banking. Can I work with banking or no? Just
Yeah. I mean, you tell me what you want to work on. We can have 2 banking groups. I'll make it work.
Yeah. Okay. Nice.
Just you tell me what you want to work on, and if you have 4 other people that you know who want to work together on banking or corporate finance or whatever it is, if you know, tell me the names of all the people that can do that. Okay? What's next?
Okay, did you have insurance under corporate finance?
Yeah, financial services.
Okay, yeah, I'm kind of like, I don't know what to do, but you kind of mentioned my name, so I'm in corporate finance.
What's your name?
Leslie, Jakes. It was State Farm.
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, and you wanted to maybe do that part time while teaching PE too, right?
No, it was more like ag.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it was like ag or...
Yeah. So honestly, like if you're interested in ag, I mean, honestly, depending on what you choose, if it were an ag petroleum thing,
Yeah, I don't know, so I guess
you'll basically find that either here or here.
that's what I thought I was kind of here with it when you kind of said this. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I
Depends on
remember.
how interested you are in State Farm. I mean, there'll be one group that is like insurance, investment advising, and
I
stuff
guess
like
shove
that.
me anywhere. I don't really know anybody, so I don't have like a buddy.
Yeah, that's fine. I'll put you
Okay.
where I think you belong.
That's fine.
But if you want to email me again and say, hey, please, this is what I'd like.
Yeah, I'll just do that. Okay, thank you.
Oh yeah.
Didn't he say it's like up to us?
There you go. Yeah.
Last class, there are 3 400 class. I couldn't attend it. It was very sick.
That's okay. You gonna come today?
Still sick.
Yeah. Hope you feel better. But yeah, no problem about last week. I'll see you guys today.
Thank you, sir.
What? Yeah, just put send. You're fine. There you go.
This one I should. Just in case you want to do, or we do like with group.
Yeah.
What's this? This help to help us like to have something.
So the document that I went over with all the instructions is the very first one.
Yeah. Okay. The second one.
And the second one, this just describes where to find the various databases. And the third one describes where to find the various financial information. The fourth one is referenced in the third one. So basically, this one has the formulas for how to calculate error ratio, how to calculate average production.
Oh, they will tell me. Okay.
Yeah, it's the formula. You just go down to page 4 and the formulas in there.
Okay.
And then basically, I can just tell you the rest of them. One of them, I'd have to get out of the way. Let me close this so I can out of the way of the next class, and I'll meet you in the hallway. Okay? I'll be right there.
Do you have a list of everyone for real estate? Sorry.
That's okay. Real estate's a little light actually right now. But,
She's not in license. I'm waiting for my last.
are you ready? Yep, I knew it. Either Miramar or Keller Williams, right?
Yeah,
Actually,
so I'm
like
doing, I want to do
the other person I had was Abdulaziz Gulstra, who's actually his dad's got a real estate slash like marble kind of construction in real estate. So if other people are interested in real estate, that's great.
They can do it, and then there's a case study from Stanford on Keller Williams.
Okay.
They seem like the best company, and I worked
Well,
there for 10 months.
yeah, I mean, basically, you're gonna have to find information outside of what the people included in the Keller Williams Stanford case. But yeah, that's fine.
I've already.
That's fine. That's fine.
I know.
Okay. Let me get out of the way of the next class. I'll be right out there. Okay. Hello? Okay, good.